Yeah. So what I would do in 1990 was we would have a blue book back then. I would go in the morning and I would flip through the blue book several hundred pages and see properties that I thought looked like they were a good deal. And then I would copy those properties on a photocopier. And then I would fax them on a fax machine out to my clients. And then that evolved into email. But the point of it was not the technology I used. The point of it was understanding the mindset of an investor. The mindset of investor is they're making money. And they make money by working a cadence. They work a deliberate process. So the investors that I work with were more mature investors. It wasn't a kid who'd been to a seminar at their church that said they can make $1 million being a wholesaler, or somebody on TikTok who sold them a bill of goods. These were real people with real money, and what they needed every day was opportunity. So understand that's at the root of working with investors. It's finding opportunity. How do you find opportunity, and then how do you communicate that opportunity? So, of course, along came the MLS. And with the MLS, the whole world of possibility opened up. So how do you today work with investors where it's actually going to lead to money? What you want to avoid is just running around finding killer deals. They never buy it, so you never make any money, right? That's going to put you out of the business. We want to keep you in the business. So you stay in the business by finding the investors and by then feeding them opportunity. Sometimes it's chicken and egg. Andy, who do I know to feed the opportunity to? So that's a whole nother discussion, how you actually find investors. But assuming somebody's come into an open house or one of the thousands of leads we generate, tens of thousands of leads we generate every year through Facebook. Every week you have investors inquiring on Facebook. Every day we have people, some of whom are investors, inquiring on Zillow. And you have a great opportunity to gather up a database of investors that you can make money with for the next 20, 30, 40 years. But you need to know how to keep them interested in you, and you do that by providing value. So a lot of what I did was on the MLS, and this is ironic because many investors will tell you, I've seen everything on the MLS. There was an investor I sold literally 311 homes to in 2013 in 1 year. And at the beginning of the year, he said, Andy, I appreciate you and I like you, but I've got agents everywhere looking for properties on the MLS. You won't find anything on the MLS. And I sat down with him after a year, he's passed now, and chuckled and said, well, I guess you were wrong 300 times. And he was happy to be wrong because he made a lot of money. So you absolutely can find property on the MLS. There's a whole other strategy with finding off-market properties. I'm not going to talk about that today. I'm going to talk about how can you start right now with investors on the MLS. So on the MLS, I created custom searches, searches that tagged and searched for certain data that others may or may not look for. So right here, you can see a search that I would tag in the MLS. So for example, I would go search, oh, 1 second. Give me a second, guys. My bad. Okay, so I would say, show me anything that's coming soon or active. Coming soon didn't exist back then. This is just one search. So coming soon or active. And I would pick an area and I'd pick a property style. So let's say in this instance, the investors only wanted single family. Now, when you have a time like now where there's not many of these properties, you might put single family and condo. But in this instance, let's just say single family. And your investor's interested in properties in, let's say, Riverside County. So I'll select Riverside County. And your investors won't buy over $1 million. Now, here comes the cool part. You can do what everybody else does. And you can go to special listing conditions right here and choose NODs, notices of default. Choose real estate owned, choose HUD owned, choose short sale, choose probates, choose auctions, maybe BKs. Right now you got multiple choices. You want the Riverside under $1 million. What does that search do? Look, results, you got 74 properties. Great. There's about another 2,000 agents doing the same thing. How do you rise above those 2,000 agents? One, you set up your search and you put your client on a drip for that search. Two, you do it every day. Most agents will do it every once in a while when they don't have anything else to do. Consistency is a big key with investors. The point here is you have this search. What you do with it is what distinguishes you. But I decided I wanted to be different. So I went back to my criteria. You notice this is 74 properties. And I'll say, you know what? I'm still going to look for single families in Riverside under $1 million. But I'm not going to look at what everybody else looks at. I want to see those for sure. But I'm going to take out all these pre-sorts. And I'm going to go down to public remarks. You know, I'm going to drop in a series of tag qualifiers. And I put together a list of tag qualifiers. So I'm saying here, if you like, my query to this search is show me all homes in Riverside County under $1 million that are single family that say investor in the public remarks, or say fixer, or say probate, or say bankruptcy, or court, or cash, or bank owned, or auction, or HUD, or default, or short sale, or flip, or flipper, or repo, or as is, or distressed. There is no distressed category right here. There is no fixer category right here, right? REO. Well, REO is the same as bank owned. Real estate owned, REO, right? So I've got all of these, what are called query qualifiers right here, because a query is programmer language for sending an inquiry, known as a query. There's HUD. So I got all of those. Now, when I run that, that provides me a list of 738 properties. That's a whole lot difference. It's 10 times more properties. Now, some of these are coming soon. By the way, look how many properties are coming soon right there. Others are active. Now, I want you to understand what we've done here. Some of these words, I want to go back to them for you. You're going to come across properties here, for example, that say, let me go back down to it. You're going to come across some of these properties with those conditions that say investor, and it could say investor owned, and the investor's already fixed it up. It could say, I'll give you another example. Court just released the property. It may or may not be a fixer. It could say sellers spent a lot of cash on this property. It's not a fixer. It could say default, but it's not a fixer. But what you've done is you have said to yourself, I'm going to create opportunity to sort through properties that other agents won't sort through because they're not going to commit that much of time. All they want to do is look at the slam dunks. And I learned very quickly that the slam dunks had so much competition, you couldn't get a deal on them. Mm-hmm. And so I would run this list. This is a lot, 738. And you should speak to, I think Dominic's on the call. Dominic used to watch me doing, 150 of these an hour. In the year I bought 300, I made offers on 4,300 homes. But that's why I got 300 and why everybody else said, oh, you can't sell to that fund. They've seen everything already because everybody was sending them what everybody else was sending them, which was the standard process. So I have now sorted the MLS by county, by price, and by certain words where the listing agent has tried to say, hey, this house is a piece of work. And then I would literally sit in the morning. I'd get up at 5 o'clock every day and I would start clicking through them. Now, obviously that looks like a fixer, doesn't it? If you have a look here, this one's in North Shore, Mecca, it's 330. And somewhere in here, one of our keywords, this home offers lots of potential for the ideal investor. But if you look in the categories, in the subcategories, in the search fields, the preset search fields, it doesn't say bank owned. Oh, up came motivated right here. But it does not say bank owned. Let me have a look back up here. Yep. It's just being listed as a standard right here. But I picked up on it because my search identified a keyword in the query search in the description. And then I'd start to look through, right? So what I would do in a second here is I would just tag this, turn around, email it. Let's say Dominic D at gowpnow.com. Hey, Dom. Here's a flipper I just found in Mecca.
Hey, son, how many more cash?
Dom, call me ASAP. Send. So let's say Dominic was my investor. I've now quickly sent that out to him. And how long did that take me?
Oh, yeah,
60 seconds? Everybody with me? If I'm going too fast, tell me to slow down.
No, it's good.
Because I'm going to run at you like this. What?
It's good. I like it.
All right. So, and I would literally, guys, now most of you are saying, okay, look, just give me the standard search. Let me set my investor up on a drip. And so you set them on a drip and every day drip, 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 right? But then I call your investor and do what I just did. Who's going to get the business, you or me?
You
Yes.
will.
Yes. Yes. All right. Now I go to the second one right here. Let's have a look at this. All right. Immediately when I see that, does that look like a fixer? No. But the keyword is going to be in here somewhere. High ceiling, formal living room, 100 plus formal living room, double doors, cigars, parking space, close to schools. Not quite sure why this one picked up. Maybe it says cash in it somewhere.
But
But
it says motivated sellers.
yeah, it's so quick, watch, because I look at this and I know immediately, oh, that's not a fixer. Boom. I'm going to go to the next one. Next. You talk to my wife, you talk to Dominic and ask them how many hundreds of times they've seen me do this. New solar panels are in it. It's a standard listing. Does it say standard up here? Let's have a look. Yep, it's a standard. Huge, beautiful pool, beautiful this, beautiful that. That ain't no fixer, right? I'm going to go to the next one. And I'm going to go to India. That ain't no fixer. That means somebody's already fixed it up. One of the keywords triggered it. This one here looks a bit mangy, doesn't it? Ah, there you go. It's an NOD. And what does it say in the wording? 2-story fixer home. Don't diagnose it too much, right? You're going to take this, highlight it. We'll look at the bottom. What does it say? Notice of default filed, regular sale. That means it doesn't need the bank to sign off on it. May not qualify for some types of financing, blah, 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 blah. I stop right there. I'm working for the investor, right? Tag it, email it. Another one from Andrew in Murrieta. Dominic, check it out. Tell me if you need me to drive by.
No, I just need you to send me your updated proof of funds, please.
Exactly. But I'm imagining you're my investor right now. Okay, bro?
Yeah, I know. It's just-
Right. So watch this, everybody. Do you see how quick this is? Now, I'm going to ask you again, because it says NOD here, anybody in the MLS search who set up the MLS search with the NOD field tagged would have sent this. So not picking on Ben or James. Let's say James sent this to you. But then I don't send you just a drip. I pick one out and I email it to you, and I do it every day for 20 days. And you see one you like. Which are you going to call? Are you going to call Ben? Are you going to call James? Are you going to call me? I think the answer is pretty
yeah,
obvious.
you
Call
call me.
you, probably.
You get my point. Why? Because I'm adding value. I'm showing that I'm aware of the market. Here's a third one, Idlewild. Oh, I love the look of this. 2-bedroom fixer, Idlewild. Come along, put your thumbprint all over it. I'll put my thumbprint on it. No repairs will be done to the property. Great news. No court. Didn't I put court as one of my search tags? So what's happening is when I go back to my criteria, the search tags that I put in right here are popping up opportunity. And I bet you if I go back in here, I'm pretty sure I put court in as one of my tags. Now, I'm not showing you all my tags. I'm showing you some of my tags. Because if you compete with me, I want to beat you. Right? So all that I'm doing here is popping up in the search field. So I could go on forever about this. First of all, I said to you, feed the investor daily. Create a unique search in the MLS and now leverage that search. You're going to handpick selections and text or email those to the investor every day. So another way, of course, is seeing that property, pulling it up on GoWP Now, going to your device, going to GoWP Now on your device. You simply tap on it. You put in the property address. The second you put in the property address, you send it out to your client. And now you're contacting him by email and by text. You want this guy, this gal to know that you're on top of it. So feed them daily, create a custom search, leverage your search in the MLS. Would you like me to show you a couple more ways that I leverage the MLS? Would it be helpful to you?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Okay, so I did this one on Riverside. Obviously, you can leverage your search by changing up the type of property right over here and so on. You understand that. You can do it by changing which county you have right here. You can do it by changing the price. But I would store leveraged searches on my desktop home screen. So I've got a bunch of searches right here. I'm going to do this really fast so you can't steal them all from me. Dominic, can you see that all right, buddy? Can you steal it? Can he? Yeah.
Don't worry.
Film it and slow it.
I know
What you
I
doing?
know how to log into
Hey,
your
Dom.
MS.
What you
I'm
doing,
not
Dom?
worried.
What you doing, Dom? Hey, Dom.
Watch. Let me
The
just log into
Zoomers
your
can
MS really
screenshot.
quickly. Hey
Screenshot.
Siri,
Only the Zoomers
screenshot.
can screenshot.
So look, kids, look at what I was doing here because I was buying out the desert. So by the way, I bought 20 homes with a net 2 years ago, just doing just this, right? So at that point, I was really interested in desert cities. I wanted to buy under 7.5, and I wanted to sell just over $1 million, right? So I also had pre-sorts by price and area. Here's another pre-source by sort by price and area. This is just Riverside, San Bernardino County, but I did a pre-sort. These I say are distressed because it's not just a sort by price, it's a sort by price and query qualifiers. There are others that I did here, obviously LA County, North County, a whole bunch of them. Hubzu and REO was another custom search. And it's cool because you might get into one of these and the 600 properties, you can jump into here and there's a bunch that are up on auction. And I learned to make a distinction between the properties that were trustee sales and the properties I could actually buy on auction. I only ever bid on the ones that I could buy on, that didn't have a reserve. And I would also see, look, cash offers, no financing allowed. All offers must be submitted at Hubzu. So I became a good friend of Hubzu, another great way to buy properties. But what I'm teaching you here is have on your homepage pre-sorts. And you might end up with 20 of these if you're working with investors, because you're pre-sorting based on their area. So let me show you something here. Did you need me to answer a question?
No, I'm going to meet them now. I'm going to take your file.
Awesome. Thank
And
you
then
very much.
copies for them for everything.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
So here's a different strategy. So right here, I'm just searching desert under 750. I know right now that I want to buy properties in the desert area under 750, and I want to sell them just north of a mill. Now I have other searches I'm doing right now, but I don't want Dominic to know them all. But here's 750 and under. And here you have a different strategy. You have to learn how to sort these, and sorting them different ways enables you to find opportunity. I want to liken this to a puzzle. Because I'm a geek, I love to do puzzles, and I love to do them with my son because you talk to each other when you do puzzles. So you get a puzzle of 1,000 pieces. They all look the same color, and you mix them up in the box or the bag. The skill of doing a puzzle is sorting that puzzle, and you got several choices. I'm going to sort the puzzle by color. So let's get all the blues over here, the reds here, the greens here, whatever. Another is you can sort a puzzle by, let's say it's a boat. You're going to take the hull. So I want all the hull pieces here. I want all the sail pieces here. I want the sky pieces here, the ocean pieces. I've taken the same pieces, and one of us is sorting by color. Another is sorting by design. So there's an investor over here waiting for you to finish the puzzle or to find an opportunity in the puzzle. Well, the guy over here is sorting by color. The color is taking forever. But the guy over here who's sorting by part of the ship, he's getting parts of the ship built out. He hits that investor looking at the same pile as the other guy. He's just looking at it differently. So how do I use this MLS puzzle? So I would do several things. One would be DOM. So I do a pre-sort. So my pre-sort on DOM is, let's look at everything that's been on the market a long time. And let's start to filter through, because a lot of people will just go price. Oh, it's 675, it's too much. No. Price and time are very closely related. Now, some of the time people just want their price. That's it. Some of the time people aren't being educated right by their agent. That's it. Others of the time it could be sitting there for 3 years at a certain price, and the person who owns it passes away. Their kids get it. Their kids haven't had a decent job in the last 10 years. They're living in mom's house. Mom's passed. Now they want the money so they can buy that car and get that special booth at the nightclub they go to, whatever turns them on, right? So they want to sell it. They want the money. They're not like their parents. They just want the money. Give me the money. And suddenly a house at 675 could be 575 overnight. It could be that that house has been in court, and the court took 2 years, 3 years. Suddenly the court was decided. The agent's a part-time agent. It happened a week ago. The agent hasn't changed the price. I could give you every scenario that exists on God's earth. So you never just trust the numbers. You're always sorting the colors. So here you're just going to jump in and you pre-sorted this list. Okay, so this is a guy trying to sell new home coming soon, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, 2 being built side by side. So this is a lot, but they're listing it as a house. Do you see that? So right now that ticks me off because he just took some of my time, and I'm just going to go right in. Let me see right here. Hold on. Give me a second. I lost my link. Give me just 1 second. This should not even be there, to be honest with you. Okay, I'll leave it for right now. All right, so that's a piece of land. Let's go to another one. Again, look, it's a piece of land being advertised as a house. That's just annoying. It doesn't mean there isn't an opportunity there. It's just annoying that they're doing that. Okay, so let me click through a few of these. Pueblo Trail, Cathedral City. Doesn't look like much of a fixer. I'm just clicking through these from long days on market to see what's up and why. It doesn't have to look like a fixer. This one, somebody's done some patching up, put down some sort of mangy indoor-outdoor grass and thrown down a couple of bags of stuff from Home Depot. It's the one I've been waiting for, according to the agent. Well, it looks like I've been waiting a long time. Sometimes I click on it here and see what's the history. They reduced it from $650 to $595. I still don't get a good vibe on this one. I know that area, 2,400 square feet. I mean, it's a maybe. Look, I'm talking to you about it. Look, needs to be updated inside. So I would take a quick look at that now, and I do a quick comp set and see, is there a possibility in there? And I would say to myself, where's the possibility? I got a 650 exit. I needed it at 495, 515. Back in 2013, I'd have written an offer on that property. It's been sitting there forever. How much longer do they want it to sit there? So I'm reverse engineering this whole project. That's a tough one to do as a flip because it's too unique. Don't buy crazy unique properties most of the time on flippers. But what I'm showing you here is I'm sorting this based on long days on market, right? Now, let's go back to the one-line display. And instead of sorting the puzzle by colors, which is long days on market, let's sort it by square footage. I bought a lot of properties this way. So I know that I'm searching desert cities under 750. What I'm looking for is what I call an aberration. I'm looking for something that stands out. So I'm sorting by square foot, and I got the 5s and the 9s. And what I'm looking for is the first decent size square footage that's the cheapest square footage in the area. So I'm sorting by square footage. In fact, let me reverse that. Let me turn around here and sort by price. Watch. So I'm sorting by price, and now I'm looking for square footage. Well, here I've got a 2325 at 325. That's cheap square footage. Why is that? There you go. Nailed it. It's a co-ownership home. So you can buy a fourth or a fifth of the property. That's out. Let's look again. 2325. I bet you this is the same. Bel Air Road. I bet it's co-ownership. Yep, that's another co-ownership property. Says so right there. Right there. All right, so let's go back. I'm looking for a sort of 750 in the desert, and I want the cheapest square footage. All of these are going to be the same way. I got a 1248 at 355. I got a 1440 at 378. Boom. Bada boom. Dillon Avenue, Indio, repo. No description. Agent just didn't really do a very good job, did they? They just stuck it on there. Tenant occupied, need an appointment, phone listing agent. Right, he's done very little work on this. I'm going to look in this really fast, and I'm going to see how long has it been on there? 23 days. Let's have a quick look here. And I find out, that's interesting. It says it's owned by William Burns. And let's go down here. I find out that the secondary units on it. And it's with America's Wholesale Lender. There's only a 65K note against it. So it's actually not bank owned. Right? So I'm going to negate that. It's not real estate owned. Real estate owned by a bank. There's no bank with a lien against it. It's a private party who holds title on that property. So that one's out. So I could take, the next 2 hours teaching you stuff on this. But what I'm doing is, see, here's another one, boom. 1474 at 389. But here I've got, 1,000 square foot, 11. So why is this? I actually did a flip on Hermosillo Road. There you go. It's an as-is REO property. Remember my search with the queries was as-is? I actually did a house right there where my finger is. So this is real estate auction, 389, 1474 square foot. I would dig into that and look at the property. So we're not looking for an individual property right now. I'm trying to teach you something generally speaking. So I'm teaching you about how to sort so that you feed the investor properties, you create a custom search, and then you leverage the MLS to create searches that you now hand pick and send to your investor. Now, I will tell you something, when you're doing this, do not spend more than 15 minutes ever without sending something hand-picked to an investor. The same when you work with a regular buyer. You're on your laptop, you're on your phone, you're on your device. Every 15 minutes, maximum, you should be sending out a link of some kind to one of your clients. Check this out, I saw this. Check this out, I saw that. So right here, I was teaching you for a minute about custom searches. This custom search for me that I store on my homepage is just by price. When I run the price, I sort the puzzle differently. Where's the maximum square footage for the dollar? Where's the ones that have been on the market longer? And I can even do the bedroom and bath search. There's many ways of sorting that. Bottom line is go back to the homepage. And I've got here my query searches that have defined queries of aspects of the property. I have my pricing searches by region and different distressed sources. So you're going to want to sort the MLS and mix the puzzles and have all of your puzzle piles right here and click on them one by one. Every 10 minutes, every 5 minutes, you're sending out a property to an investor. I guarantee you, if you do this, after 1 year, you will make minimum 100 grand a year selling properties to investors. Now, so there you go, feeding properties to investors. I'm gonna give you another tip. Does anybody want more? Have I gone on too long? You want me to stop and do this on part 2, or you want more?
More.
Part 2.
More.
We're good.
I got
More.
another 30 minutes.
You got what?
I got another 30 minutes. Let's keep going.
All right, let's do it. So,
Can we get this
Listen
list, by the way, or this?
what?
Can we get this document?
Yes. Document, I'm not sure, because Dominic will be, I'm already beating him on realtor.com. I want to beat him on flips too. No, I'm teasing. So look.
Just you wait, sir.
Okay, Tom, listen to this. And you and I have talked about this.
Mhm.
When you're working with an investor and they say they're an investor, 9 times out of 10, that means they went to some seminar or spoke to a guy with an earring on TikTok who said they could make $1 million. That is not the best way to go.
Yeah.
When you speak to people, ask the appropriate questions. Dominic, I'm looking forward to finding properties for you as an investor. What area are you interested in? Now answer that question with the one word that tells me you're not serious, Dominic. Do you know what it is?
Everywhere.
Do not work with that person. I'm going to ask you again, Dominic. Where are you willing to travel to and supervise construction and make sure that the appliances aren't being stolen out of the house and you're going to be on top of it piece by piece? Where are you willing to buy where you've got the time to supervise that?
I'm looking about 20 miles outside of the Paris zip code. It's
Right
very-
answer. Open that box. Out comes $1,000. Okay, answer this incorrectly, Dominic. Hey, Dominic, what type of property are you looking for?
Anything that'll get me a good deal.
Do not work with that guy because he doesn't know what a good deal is. He's just watching a guy with an earring on TikTok. He's not a serious investor. The guys on TikTok make money on TikTok, right? The guys who look as bad as me make money on flips. There's a huge difference. So somebody says to you, oh, any type of property. They're not serious. No investor with real money will buy anything. They have something they specialize in. So Dominic, what type of property are you looking for?
I'm looking for single family home,
Okay.
no manufactured homes.
No manufacturer. What if I can get it for you on a 433? We got the tags. We can get you FHA, VA financing, and there's 25% up, markup in it.
I'll take a look at it, but more than likely no manufactured homes.
All right. Look at what I did on his notepad. Do you know why? Why did I do that when he just told me more than likely no?
Because if you send him something that's a good deal in his numbers, he's going to say yes.
I happen to know you like money.
Mhm.
I didn't say you love money. You're not a bad person. You like money. So I bring you money. You're gonna have to think twice to say no. Okay. Well, all right. So single families, got it. I'll keep manufacturers away from you unless it's something I think is a really killer deal. I don't want you to lose some money. Okay. Does that sound good?
Sounds great to me.
You see what I just did? The declaration I just
Yeah, unless you like to lose money. Oh, I think he just froze.
made every fours.
Oh, there you go.
Dominic, what about twos, threes, and fours?
Yeah, we could do some units.
Okay. All right. So now I found out what type of property he's looking at. Dominic, give me an idea of price range. If I come in tomorrow with something that's 2 mil and you can sell it at 2.6 and spend 100.5 on it, will you do it?
No, budget cash, because I'm usually looking at doing hard money, is going to be about $1 million.
So 1 mil's your cap to acquire. Got it. Now you're going to hear different things from people there. Like when you talk to me, most of the time, I will say to you, I want a conforming exit. Does anybody on the call know what conforming exit means?
No.
Have to be able to get an FHA or conforming loan limit conventional. So
That's
there's
right. Because the
cap
market's
limits
so much
there.
bigger. Exactly. So Dominic wants to buy with the 1 mil cap. Great. What's the wrong answer to that question?
I'll buy anything you send me.
No, they won't. Give me an idea also on what specifically you're looking for, Dominic, in terms of the home. Like, are you cool with a 1 bedroom? Are you good if the square footage doesn't match the tax record? What kind of things are you looking for in terms of the aspects of the home, features of the home?
It needs to be a minimum of 3 bedrooms.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
2 bedrooms are difficult because they're usually in 55 and up, and I am 45.
Okay. So 3 bedrooms or more. What if it's got a pool? I think he's got web issues. Dominic,
Oh, I can hear you now.
what if he's got a pool?
I could take a pool.
What if it's on a main road? Noisy, busy.
I'd rather have in a neighborhood cul-de-sac. But
What if you
depending
can make
on price.
50,000 on it and it's on a main road?
I was gonna say, depending on price.
Exactly. All right. So what we're doing here is we're now determining what this investor will buy. Why do you need to know that? Anybody on the call, can you tell me?
So now
Is
you
if
can
it's gonna
set your
actually-
search specifically with
Boom.
your tag.
Boom. Hole in
You
one,
can be
mate.
more specific for the search.
So instead of sending him 700 properties, you can filter through
Exactly.
30.
Now watch, Dominic.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the 700 because I'm working for you and Angela and Blake and John and George. So in the back of my head, this is why I always go crazy when I go on our Book of Business Reveal and I say to somebody, how many are you going to put in? I'm going to do 2 this month. Great. Who are your top clients? How people don't store all their clients in their head, I don't understand. But I had all the criteria in the back of my head for 5, 6, 7 investors. And so when I'm looking through that list of 750, let me go back to it. So I've got 4 investors looking in the desert area, right? And they've all got slightly different criteria. So I'm going to set up a query search for them, and it's going to say Dominic 3BR distressed desert, right? And that's his custom search. That's his drip. He's getting that drip, right? But at the same time, I'm doing a general search because I'm also looking for Blake, and I'm also looking for Ben, and I'm also looking for Sally. And as I go through that general search, which I now pre-sort by price, which could be highest to lowest or lowest to highest. Everybody else searches lowest to highest. So I'm going to search highest to lowest because I'm going to sort my colors quicker. And I go through and sort highest to lowest and look for property that's stuck on the market, that has too many days on the market or whatever. I'm going to go, oh, this one looks good for Dominic. Yeah, this one looks good for Bob. This one looks good for Sally. And within 15 minutes, I've sent out a text to 3 different customers, right? That's just intelligent.
Andrew, I keep them on the back of my head, who's looking for what. And I've
Yeah.
even gone as far as scheduling them to just looking at the same home within like 45 minutes apart of each other.
So that's the way to do it. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. Remember, guys, when I tell you I've done this, I bought 313 of these in 1 year. So that's an elaborate process, and you learn a ton of stuff. And Angela's absolutely right. You can schedule them back to back. You can schedule investors back to back. I'll even tell an investor, look, John, I love working with you. I've got a couple of other clients coming after you, but I really want to get the offer, and I never write an offer for more than one investor at once. Do you want to write an offer on this? And then he writes the offer, right? So, number 1, I said, feed the investor properties daily. Number 2, create this query search. Number 3, leverage a series of different query searches. And how do you leverage them? You leverage them by email one-offs. You leverage them by text one-offs. You leverage them by drip, which everybody else does, right? That regular communication. Determine the buy criteria of the investor. I'll give you one other section here. Unfortunately, again, because of the guys with one earring on TikTok, there's a ton of people running around out there saying they're an investor. Well, many years ago, when I would buy 45-foot container loads of expensive antiques, you can't be at all the auctions. So in the auctions, there were people called runners. And I would be on the phone trying to buy a certain type of thing, let's say a palisade type of decorative dinnerware. And I would maybe be on the phone at 6 auctions, couldn't be at 6 auctions. So there'd be a runner at each of the auction houses, and the runner would say, Andy, what's your maximum bid on that palisade plate? What's your maximum bid on that neo-Venetiamente table? And I would say, okay, I've seen the table. My maximum bid is this amount. The runner would go in and bid on that piece and make sure there was enough margin. And then they would turn around afterwards and say, Andy, I got that table. You wanted 1,000. I got it at 900, and I'll sell it to you at 950. He made himself $50 for being on the phone. That's called a runner. So these brilliant kids with the one earring are basically repeating that strategy, which is where there's people who don't have money, who are running around looking for property, who pretend to you as the real estate agent, they're the investor. They're not, they're the runner. And runners in this business are called wholesalers. Wholesaler basically means you don't have any money. And so it's not always true, but it's true like 95% of the time. So how do you identify if this person is actually the buyer or not? Because what I don't want, if you're working with me, is that you run around all day long, you're writing tons of offers, you never put them in escrow, you're always coming to me for a loan because you don't have any money, because you're working investors and none of your investors are buying. It's because your investors aren't investors, they're runners. So how do you identify this? You don't look at a guy and say, well, you're not an investor, you're a runner, because you get all upset, right? Because there's still business to be had with runners. You just want to know that they are a runner. So when you work with that investor, say, you know what, Dominic, I just want to be sure that our offer gets accepted. You know how fast this goes. If you would you please send me POF so I can securely store it? And when you call on me to write an offer, I'll do it immediately and attach your POF. That's great. Which email would you like me to send it to, Andrew? And I give you my email. Now I'm looking for him to send a POF. What am I looking? If it's Dominic Dye, what do I want to be on that POF?
Dominic Dye.
Dominic Dye. Because if it ain't Dominic Dye and it's a fund, and he now says to you, yeah, I'm part of a fund, what he actually means is he's part of a group that the one earring guy on TikTok put together, that when you find a property, the earring guy presents it to 20 other people, waits for them to come back, finally gets 5 of them who have the POF, goes back to you as the runner and says, you can bid on it, by which time somebody else has bought it. I'm not saying the system doesn't work. I just don't play that game, right? I want to deal with investors. And if the guy is a runner for an investor, I want a 3-way call between me, the runner, and the investor. I want to know that I'm touching the money. If you're not touching the money, they're basically touching your money and making you work. You don't have any chance of making money. So you're going to ask for the proof of funds. Is this person the investor or is he a scout? They might say, well, look, I don't actually do cash. I do a line of credit. Awesome. If you could please send me the line of credit. Now, let's say the line of credit, Dominic, is under Dom's Homes, right? Dominic now needs to write the contract under the name Dom's Homes. The proof of funds needs to be in the name Dom's Homes. And he needs to send you the articles of the organization called Dom's Homes to show that Dominic has signatory rights. Now, I will share with you, there are many, many, many inexperienced agents who sell a potential flip property that don't know any of this. And they'll accept an offer from a wholesaler, and 3 months later, when 9 people who are contractors have come through the home and they've tried to renegotiate the contract several times, they realize they've been taken to the cleaners and they don't sell it. So you can still get away with a lot of stuff. It still doesn't mean it's the best way of doing it. So the best way of doing it is you find somebody who can give you POF, give you a copy of line of credit. If the line of credit is in the name of the company, they give you the articles. If you're buying an REO, if you're buying a probate, if you're buying a BK, if you're buying any property that involves an attorney who knows what's going on, they will ask to see the articles. So get your POF, get a copy of the line of credit, get a copy of the hard money loan approval, make sure the names match up. Now, I'll just give you a very, very simple trick here. If they send you a POF in the name of a lender, you don't recognize the lender. Pick up the phone and call the lender and say, hey, my name's Andy, and I've seen a property I want to buy, and I've heard you're a really good hard money lender. What are the terms? And call like you are a buyer, like you want to borrow the money, and find out what the terms are. Because the investor will always say, oh, it's no problem. They give me cash. It's just cash. Okay. And I'll ask the hard money lender, do you require an appraisal? Yes. Is it a written appraisal or a drive-by appraisal? Because I know if it's a drive-by, it takes 2 hours. I know if it's written, it takes 2 to 3 days. Great. Do you require skin in the game? Do you require that the investor puts money in? What if I can bring you a property that I know I'm going to resell for 300 and I can buy it for 95,000? Yep, you need to have 9,000 of your own money. Why? Because we want to know that you've got skin in the game. Most hard money lenders are going to want 10% cash. Now, what do you need? POF from Dominic that he's got $10,000. I happen to know he's got a lot more than that. But nonetheless, you want to have that POF that Dom's got enough money to cover the skin in the game. And I'm finding out all this information because I'm talking to the lender like I'm an investor. Now you can go back to your investor and go, hey, you know, I know this lender pretty well because I just talked to him 5 minutes ago. I know this lender pretty well. I know the appraisal takes a couple of days and so on. Are you okay with the fact that the deposit goes hard immediately? Now, if he says yes, that means he's going to stall 3 days. You're going to have a nightmare with the listing agent until he's viewed the property. And when he's viewed the property, and when he knows his hard money lender has done the drive-by and told him that the equity position is there, he's then going to release his deposit. By the way, I bought hundreds of homes doing that. It's kind of a snaky way to do it. It's a very tense way to do it. But what you're driving at here is you want to make sure that the terms that the hard money lender has to lend the money match the terms that you can manage in the contract. Now that's very quick. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
Yes.
Last thing I want to touch on really quickly, and this is a quick overview, okay? Last thing I want to touch on really quickly is assignments. So what wholesalers do is that they'll make an offer on a property, and then once they get it accepted, they'll shop it to their investor buddies and find somebody who is actually going to purchase that property, put the money in escrow, and then they want to change names. That's called an assignment. Now, many wholesalers use contracts that are not California Association of Realtors contracts. They use contracts they print out, from Google. So I'm not saying that you cannot buy a home that way. You can, get legal advice because lots of risk. You can. So you can go in on a one page that just says, I'm Bob and I'm going to buy you a home for this and I'm going to close by such and such a time. Sign here. The seller signs it. And then you bring in Sally, and then you go back to your seller and you go, you know what, actually, Sally's my partner, which is what they always say. And Sally's going to come in and bring in the money. We're going to close next week. They go, okay, you pulled it off. Now, if you try that through the MLS, that's really tough, unless, again, you have an uneducated real estate agent, right? So typically, when you use a CAR form, not typically, always, if the agent knows the form, there's a clause in there about assignments, and it says this: buyers shall have the right to assign all of buyer's interest in this agreement to the buyer's own trust. There you go, Andy. I can do assignments. To the buyer's own trust, or to any wholly owned entity of the buyer that is in existence at the time of such assignment. Otherwise, buyer shall not assign all or any part of buyer's interest in this agreement without first having obtained the separate written consent of the seller to a specified assignee. Such consent shall not be reasonably withheld. Now listen to this. Prior to any assignment, the buyer shall disclose to the seller the name of the assignee and the amount of any monetary consideration between the buyer and the assignee. Now, of course, lots of people who watch this video are going to say, well, Andy doesn't know what he's talking about. I did it. I know. I get it. You were lucky. You got a listing agent. You put it under the name of Bob. You assigned it to Sally. You made a profit in a double escrow of 100 grand, and great, you did it. There's all kinds of legal issues there that could come back and bite you up to 7 years later, but you did it. Congratulations. All I'm saying is, if you want to do it airtight and you're working for a wholesaler, and that wholesaler wants you to write it up in the name of Bob, and Sam is eventually going to buy it, you're going to need to negotiate with that listing agent to allow you to assign. And some listing agents will say no assignments. Now, if, in my case, you write the offer on the name Andrew Warburton, and you have multiple corporations, and you know you're going to assign it to that corporation, you do have the right to do that as long as you are the principal owner of that corporation. So that's how you manage assignments. So this is a brief introduction to investors, how to maximize your time, how to use your time and truly make money with investors, and how to really be somebody who's valuable to investors. By the way, I've got a much more in-depth seminar,
Yeah,
which,
can you do a part 2 on this? Because
yeah.
kind of confusing.
So I have a much more detailed seminar called How to Make $1 Million in 2 Years Flipping Homes, which is something I personally have done. And we break down everything from acquisition to construction to disposition, and the construction management calendar, how you analyze flip and profit. There's a lot of detail in here. So that is a course that I can present at a later date. But I hope this was a good start. And I hope to see some of you guys writing offers for investors. Okay. Do I have any questions? I've got like 5 or 10 minutes for questions right at the end here if anybody needs to ask some questions.
I have a question. So at what point, because I've had a couple of these, and you have told me in the past, if they're going to be draining your time, don't spend too much time with them.
Right.
So at what point, I mean, what, I guess, second showing, or when do you kind of cut them off, or
So look,
put them on a drip?
So the answer to that question, and first of all, put them on a drip costs you nothing, right? So just do it.
Right.
If you're going to start investing your time, your gas, your money, your family time in showing the property, make sure you ask those questions. Ask all of them. Ask those questions that are on that document I just went over.
Okay,
When
perfect.
you ask those questions, Ange, and you might do a freebie. You might do the first one and just to meet them, right? But after the first one, you need to know the answer to those questions. So when you've got
Okay.
answers to those questions, this is an investor. This isn't the general public. We're not talking about HUD. We're not talking about
Yes.
the right to own a home. We're talking about the opportunity to flip a home and make money. So it's a totally different series of thinking, right? So
Yes.
you're going to go out, you're going to meet them, you shake their hand, you're going to ask them these qualifying questions. After these qualifying questions, if you show them 3 or 4 properties they don't write an offer, they're not an investor.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes,
typically the ones that I've gotten, that I've dealt with, are exactly what you were saying. Is they went to a seminar, they paid a bunch of money, and they're runners.
Yeah.
And in one of the instances, this person went and brought the property back to their investor, and the investor bought it with someone else. So it's just a big waste of time. And I showed her a few times, but then I also kind of merged it into trying to get her to buy a home, because she's a renter. So I'm
But
now
she didn't
now
have
I
any
have
money,
her,
right? So
now
but
I
you
have her, yeah.
DPA, right?
It's a nurture.
Cal Haffa.
Yes.
So, and this, you just brought up a really interesting point. I've sold a lot of homes to people who came in as investors. And it turned out in the end, they just wanted a good deal themselves. So that's why that first appointment is always so important. I'm not going to run around with a runner who's looking to make a quick 50 grand because he wants a life work balance, which means I work and he has life. It's not going to happen.
And he had
Thank you. This was very informative.
Yeah, I had
You're
a very similar experience. The key question was asking the questions in the proof of funds, because we actually asked to meet with the money person, because he was a runner. We met with the money person, gave him all the information. He ended up going behind the runner and me, because he was a real estate agent himself, and he made an offer. So just FYI.
Look, there's so much I could say about that, but I'm going to be a nice boy.
I have a question too. So what about the tech? Because I think we all get the text from the investors, it's looking for properties. I get a bunch of those a week. How do you recommend responding to some of those, or just ignore them?
Thanks so much. I love working with investors. Please send me the best email address when I find a deal, and what's your response time. Please enclose your cell phone number for really good deals. Get the email, get their cell phone number, go to MailChimp, set up an email list, set up a cell phone text list, and do exactly what they're doing to you. Get 50 to 100 of them in your first year. And if you do what I just described right here, you will make money.
Okay. And then
I have a
go
question.
ahead.
No, finish, James. You can finish.
Okay. No, and then I have another one that he reaches out a lot to me, but when he wants to write an offer, he always wants to push for escrow. He always wants to push for escrow in his offers.
For title and escrow, it's because he is close with the title and escrow company and he's flipping it. So then if he pays for the title and escrow at a cheaper cost, he can just roll it into the next one and not.
One thing I would tell you for absolutely sure. You find a deal and the guy's an investor and he turns it down because he doesn't get the escrow company, he is not an investor.
Tax.
He's an
Got
idiot. Why would you turn down making 50 grand because it's with A, B escrow instead of C, D escrow? Now, I will tell you why people insist like that. I said insist. Many people choose. I have an escrow I like to use because they have all my financials. It's secure. I don't worry about my money being stolen, right? I get it. But am I going to lose a deal because of an escrow company? Absolutely not. But there are people who insist on an escrow company, and 9 times out of 10, what that means is they're a wholesaler and they're doing double escrows. And they found an escrow company that will do that without disclosing it. And you just read in the RPA how it has to be disclosed. And they found an escrow company that will do that. And you think the whole time you're selling it to Bob, you're actually selling it to Sally. Bob's creaming 100 grand off the top and nobody knows. Very often when somebody's insistent on using a neutral third party like that, they're doing something that's not neutral.
Got it.
Okay, anybody else?
What are you looking for?
I have
Hey,
a question after that. Sorry, I
I'm
was trying.
looking for I'm looking for 2 things right now. I'm looking for anything that's kind of entry level, so acquire south of 5.5. That's needs rehab. I don't buy burns. So anything that's burns, no. I won't buy meth houses. And I don't really care about the condition other than that. And anywhere in Riverside County or San Bernardino County, south of the pass. And I'm also looking for a unique property in the desert that I'll pay up to $1 million for. That's got, a couple $100,000 worth of work, but could be $1.5 million, $1.6 million. And that's a project for my wife because she's a skilled architect. So mid-mod would be ideal.
Andrew, I have a question. So I have that I was going to ask you about assigning, so I'm happy you went over it. I have it was a Zillowflex client. He's an investor and he sent me his proof of funds, but what seeming like is happening is he'll say like, oh, I want to write 15 offers in a weekend, and then send me the ones that I've sent him that he wants to write offers on. And then we get to the point of like talking about it. I have all of his info and his partner's info and his LLC, but then like it kind of stops when he's like, this is what I want to offer. And then he's also wanting to assign it. So I have no idea when it comes to assigning things. It's to another LLC. I don't know if that's in the RPA that we put the other LLC that he wants me to assign it to, or what.
So what you're telling me really sounds like a runner. I would be
Yeah.
super careful, young lady.
Yeah.
You're skilled and you're going to do really well on our team. I would be very, very careful. I never let investors take more than 20% of my showing asset time. That's what I called it. I saw time as an asset. So they never took more than 20% of my weekend. So be extremely careful. If
Yeah,
you've got
and-
some sort of double LLC, sounds super fishy to me.
Yeah, he has an LLC, and then he said the business we'd be assigning it to is another LLC. And then, I mean, he's looking everywhere too. So I'm like, I don't know if I want to be going like 2.5 hours away from
Yeah.
where I live. Like,
Don't do it, Hannah. Okay, don't do it. If you meet him and he gives you a POF and you see the money, and
yeah,
something I used to do too is look, hey Hannah, let's say you're the investor, right? Hannah, look,
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you, what you're doing. I'd love to learn from you as well. Can you send me the last 3 addresses you've bought so I can really learn what you're looking for? Trust me, I'll
Yeah.
study it. I'll look at the pictures before, I'll look at the pictures after. Do you see what I'm saying to you?
yeah,
And if they can't send you them, or they send them to you and it's like, cowabunga real estate, nothing that he's got anything to do with, then he's a runner.
yeah. Yeah, it sounds like it, because we've gotten so close every time. He's like, I
Yeah.
want to write an offer. I'm like, what would you like to offer? What price? And then he doesn't respond for like 2 days. I'm like,
Yeah. Be
If he
really
really,
careful.
yeah,
You're a clever woman.
yeah,
Use your time wisely, okay? And we've got
Yeah.
so many leads. You do much better just to come in here and sit opposite the ISAs on Saturday and not leave
Yeah.
until you got 2 appointments. That would be a
Yeah.
much better use of time.
agreed. Yeah, I
Right.
got an offer in for she's not even an investor. She just wanted to buy some rental properties with ADUs and such, but she's
Perfect.
great. I got an offer in for her. So
Perfect. By the way, those are great investors to work with. If you can find investors who are, buy and hold rather than buy and sell,
yeah, that's what she wants to
great
do.
people. And I could show you how to set up different searches for them as well. And they will learn to admire you through the years. And they're usually very loyal. Very
Okay.
loyal. Yeah.
Part
Yeah,
2 on
that'd be great.
If you like, that's a great part 2. Remind me, Dom, okay? And
That
I'll
would
do
be great.
Part two will be buy and holds.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, she's like, I want 5 houses in my portfolio and
Yeah.
like all. So she- that-
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Fabulous. All day long. Find 10 of those. You make money the rest of your life.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Thank you, Andrew.
All right, guys, I'm going to jump off. I've got 8 how many interviews do I have today? 5 interviews for the end of the day. So I got to run. Okay.
Thank you,
Thanks,
sir.
Andrew.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody. Cheers,
Thank
everybody.
you.
You're
Bye.
welcome.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome.